Hi guys, I'm here to show you how to make these three-dimensional stars out of cardstock or paper. All you'll need is some glue and a pair of scissors and some cardstock or paper. I'm using cardstock for this in 5" by 5" pieces, and you'll need 2 of those. So you start off by folding your square into a rectangle, and I'm using a wooden tag to score the edges so it's nice and crisp. Then you open it up and you make a rectangle in the opposite direction, doing the same exact thing, making sure you've got your edges down nice and tight. Then open it up and line up your corners to form a triangle. Try to get that as precise as possible. And again, make your edges nice and tight. Then you're going to open it up and you're going to do the same thing in the opposite direction. So again, line it up as best you can and score it if you want to. Then you're going to open it up and you've got a X and a line, and you're going to take each of your edges and fold it up into the center part and then just kind of press it down with your finger. And this is going to make a indentation so you know where you're going to need to cut. You don't have to do this part, but I have found that it's really very, very helpful. So just do that in each direction. Then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut along that line, that center line, up to your center point. And you're going to do that in all 4 sides. And that's what that last fold that you did does. So then you have even cuts so that it makes it much easier to do your folding. Now you're going to fold almost like a paper airplane, and you're going to fold the cut edges into a point like a paper airplane. And you're going to do both sides to form a triangle and try to get that point as even as possible. So you're going to do this on all 4 of those areas that you cut and make sure it's nice and tight. So just fold each area into the line and you'll be able to see the fold. Where you need to fold your triangle down into is one of the folds that you made. And that's why I think scoring is important, because it gives you a clearer line so you know exactly where you need to do. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to go all the way around, making your little triangles, your little paper airplane points, and you do this on all 4 of those areas that you cut. Just trying to keep it. And with cardstock, it's a little tougher because it doesn't want to fold as much, so you kind of have to manipulate it a little bit, but it's totally doable. So just do that again for all of them. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to be pretty precise because you see both sides of the star because it is a double-sided. So once you've got all of your folds complete, this is where your glue comes into play. So you're going to take your glue and you're only going to put a line of glue down the lower part of your triangles. So just put a small bead. You don't want too much because you don't want it to glob out. Then you're going to fold the top part of that triangle over onto that lower part. And you're going to have to kind of pull it up and then just hold it in place while the glue dries. And then it creates a kind of a 3-dimensional raised peak. So again, you're going to put a bead of glue along the lower portion of your triangle, and then you're going to pull the top right over it onto the glued area, and then just hold onto it and press it to create that peak. You're going to do this again on all sides, just making sure you don't use too much glue, because too much glue will squish out when you put your top part over it. So just take your time, and it really is very easy. But just make sure, this is where you want to really make sure your points are precise. And if they're not, just manipulate it a little bit until you get it to where it is going over and creating a really nice, clean, crisp point at the end of each of your, this is going to be your star points. So this, sometimes you have to manipulate a little bit. It's easier with paper, I will say, than with cardstock, but with cardstock, I think it's more dramatic. So I'm having to kind of really manipulate that particular point. And then you have this. See how it creates this really cool 3-dimensional aspect. Now I already made a second one, so you wouldn't have to sit here through the whole thing. So then you have 2 identical areas. And what you're going to do is you're going to glue all 4 of the corners, because you're going to glue that other star right on top of it. But you're going to place it so that the peaks are in the center openings. So it's not on top of one another, but placed so that you see all of the peaks in all of the directions. And then just hold it taut until you get the glue to adhere. And isn't that pretty? It is so pretty, y'all, and it's so easy. So then you want to create, this is going to be an ornament. So you're going to have a loop, but I took the dye, the oxide dye, and I just kind of brushed it on. Obviously, you don't have to do this part, but it gives it a really fun, distressed kind of a look, and it's really beautiful. And it makes it look like it almost makes the paper look like metal. This is completely optional. You also could use colored cardstock or a cardstock with a print. I made one with like music notes paper. So anyway, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want, but by adding a little bit of this dye, it just makes it pop. So that's just an option for you. But anyway, then I'm going to take a piece of gold twine. You could use regular twine. You could also use some wire, whatever you have on hand. And I'm just going to make a little loop, and then I'm going to glue that to the back of my star because I'm going to hang these in my tree. They'd also make a really cute garland. Sky's the limit with these guys, you know. They're so fun. They're so easy. And they really are gorgeous when they're done. They look like something you would buy in a boutique. I'm not kidding. So anyway, there you go. Super easy, 3-dimensional, 2-sided, and just really fun. This is one I made with some music paper, sheet paper. Anyway, I hope you enjoy them, and I hope this inspires you to go out and make some of your own.